Hello and welcome back. Well, it's been a while since I've been in front of a camera, and that's because I've been really busy at work. So today I thought I'd give you a little, insight into what I think about this whole process of, going back to work when I was thinking, I'm empty nester, thought I was sort of semi-retired, but was it a mistake? I'm going to talk about that with you in a minute. First, yes, it is autumn well and truly here. It's quite a cool day. It's been damp and cold, and because I'm at home I haven't put the heating on because I'm just about to pop out, do some shopping, do some sort of catch-up things that I've been meaning to do. First I'm going to take some salmon out of the freezer for dinner because dinner planning is really important, and I've already done the washing and popped all of that up to dry. Well, look, life looks normal, but there are things that are missing, like this is a very sad vase that has no flowers in it, so I'd like to get some flowers, and I'm just going to take some salmon out of the freezer. Oh, please note, I am now back in my woolly winter slippers, and where is the salmon? Here we go. I buy these big bags from Aldi, and look, I know we can debate forever about the various merits and demerits of farmed salmon, which I'm sure this is, but it says responsibly sourced Australian portions. Look, I've got to eat fish. I'm not going to be able to go out and catch it, so I buy these, take one out, one or two out of the freezer, actually two, because then it will be for lunch the next day at work, and that will be a really good healthy meal. So this is how they come packaged. I'm sure you've got some equivalent either at a local Aldi near you, or some other store will have a similar thing, but I just put these in the refrigerator for the day, and I'll serve them with some green beans. Do you think? Green beans, lemon, they'll be beautiful. One I'll have tonight, one I'll break up and put into a salad for tomorrow's lunch. Now, before I go out, I thought I'd show you my shopping list, and I just keep it on my phone. So I'd encourage you all to start just using your phones for easy things like this. This is my shopping list, and there's the list. Now, whether I buy them all today or not, but there are things that are down there to remind me that that's something I, should be thinking about. Just a little useful tip for life, Well, I'm back, and I have my tulips, so I'm happy. That little part of the world now looks just a little more cheerful. There's nothing like tulip season, is there? Just beautiful. Anyway, I will definitely not be having the heating on because they would get blasted here, but it's not cold anymore, it's warmed right up. Oh, what did I get? I picked up my meds and some rapid antigen tests. Always a good thing to have in the house. I got the oranges and an avocado and some apples. I got a few things that weren't on the list in the way of, shopping. When you see a special, I normally make my own chicken stock, but I haven't, and it was on special. Strawberries were a good price, as were the raspberries. I decided black beans to go in wraps, which I also got. These can go for lunches through the week. A few other things that I'll use in lunches like feta. I've got some more milk, cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is always good to add to wraps. I got some Philly, also just something that stays in the fridge. Both of these were on special, and the cheese was on special. Now that can just sit in the refrigerator for a very long time, so I always pick up those sorts of things when they're on special. Then I just got some greens. I got the avocado oil that was on the list. I got the beautiful honey that was on the list. I picked up a couple of kumaras, sweet potatoes that I had on my list, some bok choy, which I didn't, but it's always good, and some half a red cabbage. I don't think I can really, a full one is an awful lot of cabbage. I also got the battery I needed, which was good because the last few times I've tried they haven't had it in, and the softy that I use for washing woolens and dark things, which of course I have quite a lot of. So just a little bit more gentle. It just washes them. It's not overly perfumed. Excuse me, not overly perfumed. And I also got some steak and some brisket that was immensely reduced because of, coming out of Easter and Passover. And so I popped that straight in the freezer, and I will have that at some point down the track. This is my autumn beacon. It's an amazing time of the year. It's a ginkgo, I think. No, maybe it's not. Not even sure what sort of tree it is. But that is a fabulous autumn colour. Wonderful time of the year. That little glimpse of autumn here in Melbourne. It's really, it feels very sort of pre-wintery today. And in the next few days I do have to have a look at bringing out my winter clothes. I don't pack away a lot, but I do pack away things like the bulky, this is a vest, but I do pack away the bulky puffies and things like that. Just, because it clears out the wardrobe a little, and I'll be able to switch out some summer for winter. Until then, I'm just going to go ahead and make my dinner, the salmon that I have thawed. But before I did that, I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about that process of going back to work and whether or not it was a mistake. And the answer is, of course, yes and no. Mostly no, it wasn't. It's been fantastic. I have really enjoyed it. It's been quite... it's been mentally quite challenging, which is great. It really wakes up your brain when you have to remember the technical details about many, many, many different products and just have them basically at the tip of your tongue, ready to go. And that is great. And there are lots of different processes and all of the in-store processes and all of the, external delivery, that sort of thing as well. All of those sorts of things have been fabulous. Of course, top of the list are the people that I'm working with, who are mostly pretty young, and I'm really enjoying that. But many of my customers are older, and that, of course, is one of the reasons I wanted to do this, is that I think that there are so many older people out there who are not super techy and who struggle with making those changes and learning about things that a lot of us just take for granted, and if they don't do it, it excludes them from a lot of society. And while I'm not suggesting that everybody should sit on Instagram all day, I do think that in terms of being able to do video calls, text messaging, taking some photos and maybe a video or two, those sorts of things are really important in today's society, when we've been shut away from people for so long. We've sort of remembered how important people are. So that side of it has been fabulous. What's the downsides? Well, the downside is that I have to try and squeeze in a whole day of things to do on a day off. I mean, the next 5 days I'm working straight through, and that's great. But on the other hand, it does mean that I have used my days off for some other things. I had medical appointments that I had to do. I used days off for those. We had Easter, which was lovely. But I'm not going to, that sort of thing is, long weekend things, so that were fantastic. And also I rolled my ankle. There we are. This was nothing to do with the going back to work or not. I suppose it could have happened at any time, but it did happen, on the way to work. And while it didn't stop me working, it did mean that when I got a day off, I spent it with my foot being alternatively iced and heated and doing all the right things to, compression and rest, that whole rest, ice, compression, elevation, and some anti-inflammatory, and that certainly helped it. So yeah, it was quite a nasty sprain, but actually it didn't slow me down too much, which was great, but it did mean that my precious time off was used doing other things, like looking after myself. So of course, one of the main downsides is that my YouTube channel has suffered. Now, it won't always continue to suffer, but the last 6 weeks have been pretty full on, and I've been sort of having to learn a whole new language and a whole lot of information. But it's more than that. It's just that the time, as I said, the time I have had off, I have been focusing on other things, and when I'm not working, I'm tired. I do get tired. I mean, that many of you know that I have a rare type of leukemia that can't be cured, but I take chemotherapy daily, and one of the side effects of the chemo I take in tablet form is fatigue, and one of the side effects of the disease itself is fatigue. So you put those two together and throw in, an 8-hour workday, and getting to work and getting home and doing all the basics, and I'm pretty tired. So Well, I'm not saying that as a reason to not do it. On the other hand, I'm saying that when I do get home, I tend to, say, okay, phew, done that for the day. Now I'm going to sit down. But having said that, I'm not going to go anywhere. I will be back. I'm just sort of getting used to a new process at the moment in terms of, scheduling my life. So as I sort that out, I will sort out coming back to you. Because I do miss talking to you, and I know for some of you anyway, that you look out for my videos and we like to wave out to each other. So I would encourage you, if you have the slightest inkling, to get out and do something for a couple of days a week. Maybe you'd like to volunteer somewhere interesting. Maybe you'd like to, earn a little bit of extra money by going back to work for a few days. Or look again and say, hey, I've always been interested in this particular area and I'd like to explore it. I would really encourage you to put aside any of your doubts and just, put a toe in the water, see what you like, and think about it. On the other hand, I am the first to acknowledge that for many of you, you've got a long list of things that you're going to be doing now that you are officially retired, or that you are planning to do when you do officially retire. And I would never for a moment suggest that you don't do those, because I think that's fabulous as well. It's that keeping engaged and keeping connection with society and with, not just with your friends, but keeping on making friends, because that's a good thing as well. And here we go. Here is dinner. I'm going to have mushy peas, which I've started out life as frozen peas, of course, because that's by far the easiest way to have it. And I'm going to make a lemon salmon. So the salmon that I showed you earlier has now come to, it's thawed and it's pretty close to room temperature. Now I'm just going to toss it effectively in avocado oil, which is really good for anything that you are going to do at high heat. Olive oil degrades. It's an expensive way to lose flavour as you are, if you're using it, to dress food that's going to be cooked at a reasonably high heat. I have a nice fresh organic lemon here that came off the tree in the backyard, so that's lovely. And this is what I'm cooking it in. Yes, I bought an air fryer. Now it's a tiny one. I mean, it's really small, but it's the perfect size for me, or me and someone else, so you or two, which is sort of the empty nester's dream, really. And I haven't had one before, so it's been a bit of a revelation. I am really impressed. I think that it's a great way to save energy, because it's a small appliance. It's not like heating the oven to cook 2 tiny pieces of salmon, and it's very fast. The word fry, I think, is a bit of a misnomer. It's not frying anything. It's just that it uses a blast of superheated hot air, the way that frying uses a blast of superheated hot oil. So it's just been coined as a term. So it's like a tiny fan-forced oven. And there's a big fan up here in the top and heating element, and it blows the superheated hot air, not oil, almost said oil, the superheated hot air down, and it circulates around in this little cooking chamber and cooks everything beautifully. So now I'm going to toss the salmon in oil, put some slices of lemon on it, pop it in, and then I'll actually put the peas on at the same time, and it'll be basically a 15-minute dinner. Okay, step 1. I mean, this is super simple. Now, I didn't use a huge amount, probably a little bit too much, unfortunately, which is must remember that the top is super fast flowing, and while I'm doing this, I can feel just one little pin bone in there. Okay, that's better. That's gone. All the rest are fine. Nothing else in there. I have a horror of fish bones. I'm going to season it well, just with the normal Murray River salt, and I'll give it a little black pepper, just a grind black pepper, not a lot, because I don't want that strong flavour to override it. And now, as well as cutting some lemons to go on it when it's cooking, I'm going to squeeze a little juice in there as well. Oh, these lemons smell amazing. So that's going to go into the air fryer just as it is, and we'll get this dinner underway. So in they go. It all starts up again, roaring away quite happily. In the meantime, also start my good old-fashioned mushy peas to go with them, because the pink of the salmon and the green of the mushy peas is a match made in heaven. And there it is. I actually went for about 5 minutes, slightly over. I kept opening it and having a look. Well, no, I didn't keep opening it. Now I'm just going to give it a little bit of extra lemon, because lemon is always good. And the mushy peas have a little bit of butter, and I popped a garlic clove in, because garlic, it's one of those things that brightens up every flavour. So there's my dinner. And in this truly dreadful light in my kitchen, I am going to sign off for the day, say thank you for being with me. Come along for the journey if you like these sorts of things, and I will get back to more of a routine now that I've sort of settled into this whole process of going back to work. I'm going to have my dinner, enjoy it, so please give me a thumbs up. Join me if you want to have more of these sorts of videos. And I hope that wherever you are keeping safe and well and happy. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.